I just started the recording, and we are going to be hearing from Laura Garmire this afternoon, and she'll be presenting on using Gen AI to level up your accessibility. So, Laura, please go on ahead.
Well, thank you. First, I want to say welcome, and I'm so glad everybody's here. It's nice to see actually a few familiar names on the screen. Um, as she said, my name is Laura Garmire. I'm an instructional design and curriculum manager for Indiana Online. I've been in this role for 10 years. We are the largest nonprofit supplemental program. I have to give credit with this presentation to my wonderful team, Amanda Domagala, Dr. Tanya Klein, and Matt Schreiber. A lot of the things that you're going to see have been crowdsourced through our team, so I definitely wanted to give a shout out to the three of them. So objectives for this session. This is not the end all be all on how to use AI, but I'm going to share how you can help it help your courses be accessible and meet some of those accessibility standards and also accessible to all students. So I'm not going to read all of these. I have faith that you all can read that as we go through. A little bit, once again, with Indiana Online, why some of this is so important to us. There is a program now called AccredVed, and it accreditates online programs. Indiana Online was the first organization in the nation to receive this accreditation, so we are extremely, extremely proud of that. And those are the four areas. So knowing that quality is a huge emphasis for us. As I said, we are an accredited online program. We are not a school. We are not a school. We don't issue transcripts. We issue grade reports to schools. We partner with schools. So we do, our courses are NCAA approved. We have dual credit. Our courses are now slowly going through Quality Matters certification, College Board approved, and we go 6 through 8. And to give you an idea, out of 165 courses, 163 of them are built by us. I have 3 instructional designers. So think about the math of every 6 years, new standards coming in, how that is done. So we needed some help. We definitely need some help, and I do not have a huge budget for my subject matter experts. And just briefly, this is in the slides, and I will go through and you'll have access to all of these. Just goes through our process. One thing we know with schools is they think creating an online course can be done in a day. We all know that that is not the case. It takes a lot of time and effort to create an online course. So we have developed a kind of a process just to explain to people why it takes so long, because we do want the quality going through. So QM, and these are the 5th edition. I'm not going to do the sneak peek on the 6th edition. But we want readability and accessible text and images and videos and all that sort of stuff. So kind of getting all out of the way, kind of explain a little bit. We all know that GenAI is not human. Please, 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 making sure that you double check. We use this for efficiency and everything else. A huge area when you're using AI is to know where your sources are coming from. The original large language model was actually pulled from Reddit. So when we think about getting our sources, are we getting it from Reddit? Where are we getting our reliable sources from? Where are we trying to pull information from? And making sure that when you are using AI is to refine your prompts. Keep asking it for more and more and more, and never just copy and paste your outputs. You have to look at them. That is a huge thing with it for us. So let's kind of get into that and how we use GenAI to help all of our learners. So one of the things that we know is, like textbooks, they have vocabulary lists. So here's one of the prompts that we use to help create a vocabulary list. And when you look at that prompt, excuse me, what would you add, delete, or anything else with that? You can put it in the chat or unmute yourself. How many people include a grade level, reading level? We do have, yep, should be written for a blank grade level, yep. Standards, okay. And I'm going to be taking this chat and taking it back to my team so that we can make sure, as I said, we are always trying to refine these. But yes, you know, don't use colloquial or slang language. I love that one. Now, here's a huge one. We've done both things when you're doing captions to a written transcript, and then transcripts to captions. So we've done a lot of bringing in videos, yep, subject specific, for your vocabulary. But captions to transcripts, we've done a lot of taking out, as you said, removing that timestamps. And here's one thing that I have found huge when using, GenAI, is that it likes to do when you ask it to take the SRT file and create it like in a paragraph style, it wants to change it all. It wants to correct your grammar. It wants to correct everything. And it's like, don't change it. Don't change it. We just need capitalization and punctuation. And that to me is huge, because if you have it change it and then you start comparing the transcript, because how many of us really want to go through and take out everything and go through and edit those transcripts to get a video or to get a document file for the video? They don't match. So you have to tell it, don't edit the grammar. Don't edit that. So we've also done proper formatting to match it up. Has anybody had any luck in getting things or adding things with captions and videos? Trying to use my wait time. So Michelle says, so in luck. I think YouTube is actually adding them now.
YouTube's been pretty good about adding some of them that I've seen and stuff. I still go through and double check them, but
Oh, yes.
their captions were pretty good, I thought, for some of the demonstrations I did for art and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, it's had, I know, underneath, some, like if you expand the little area that it talks about, it's had the transcripts down below. And I should put in here, I also have a, and you're limited on it. You can see what I like to listen to. Apologize. Oh, we'll do handmade shoes. Don't know why. Why is that? No. Apologize. Come on. That's an advertisement. So let's put marine biology. If I can type. So I've also got this, you can get a transcript there, but you're limited on the number of the days. Or I'm sorry, the number of items per day that you can do. So this one gives you a little bit nicer, but you still, as you said, Michelle, you have to check it out. I've seen down here also show transcript, and here's a different. So if you copy and paste this and ask it, as I said, you make sure to say don't change any of the text on that. Now, one of the things that we, as I said, I keep doing that, that we've had is the video description. How many of you, if you have a video that does not have any words, but you need a like written description or an audio of what is going on in that video? So if somebody is visually impaired, they can't see what's going on in that video. We've actually been able to use some tutorial videos. Yep. We've actually been able to use Google's AI Studio. It's not great, but it definitely helps. So we've asked it to create a transcript, a woman wearing a face mask walks down a hallway. She stops to use a wall-mounted hand sanitizer. She rubs her hands together. So we've actually been able to use Google's AI Studio to, as I said, generate that description transcript. And then we can go in and add. So it may not be perfect, but it does go in and gives you that starting point so that just a little bit of an effort, or I should say, less of time intensiveness to be able to pull it up. So it's not always perfect. I will tell you, it's not always perfect, but Google, as I said, the AI Studio has really helped us with getting some of that. Because I know like PE swimming strokes, if you do a video on the swimming strokes, you actually need the description of how or what they're doing. And so it can help you with that immensely. I loved as Amy, you said you've used AI to help writing a script. Yes. Writing that script can also, it's that little time saver, but it can help not only, can help the user, but you're time saving yourself. I have a person on my staff who hates videos. She never wants to watch a video. So it's like, give her the text reading of it. Article summary. We've definitely used AI to do article summaries. Scenario activities. And these are very brief, but with these article summaries or the scenario activities, I keep moving things too much, I apologize. As you said, standard, subject, grade level, adding all of those things into it. I didn't want to be very, very specific to make it really long, but I think, as you said, reading level, subject, standards, those should be kind of like those always entering in there. Always entering in there. We've done learning objectives, one sentence description. And once again, as I said, what's your grade level? What's the subject? What's the standard that you want it to match to? We all know this big one, reducing reading level. That's a huge, huge one to help. We've also done an alignment chart. So when you're looking at it, we will even eventually, we're going to be creating agents that will have like the QM the new standards in there and everything else so that it makes sure that we are aligned and everything else. Has anybody ever entered their standards in a chat and then put in lessons and asked it to identify the standards that were taught, doing it kind of that opposite direction? Nikki, how do you do that? Can you expand? I love it. Abigail, same thing.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I am.
Okay, perfect. So basically I just kind of pull out my lesson onto a Google document and split it up into like, this is, this is my goal. This is what we're looking at and the whole lesson kind of in detail. And then I say, here are the standards that I need to hit for this unit. Can you please identify what standards this lesson meets? And then it will pull it out. But I also ask for, I forgot to mention, I also ask the reasoning behind it. Like, please explain how this lesson meets that standard. So that way I can kind of understand how they're looking at it or how they match that up.
Exactly. I love that. Whereas you said, please explain, because you can do that alignment, but you're like, wait a minute. Yes, it does. And then if you ask, as I said, refine your prompt, explain why, you explain your reasoning, and you're like, oh yeah, maybe I really didn't hit that. Maybe I did or I didn't hit that. So I love going that backwards of, here's my lesson, here's standards. Did I meet did I match those standards? And that additional reasoning behind that crosswalk.
And then
Justification. Go ahead. Sorry.
Right. If it's missing a standard, then there's been times where I will say, how can I adapt this, or what should I add in order to meet this standard with this lesson?
Yep, that's perfect. Perfect. Mitzi, I'm going to ask you if you want to explain, as you said, building a chatbot in PlayLab.
Sure.
Can you?
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, coming through well. Thank you.
Laura. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's been a part of like the PlayLab AI area, but you can sign up, you can go through a series with them, but it allows you to create your own customized chatbots, whether you're going to use a student or teachers. But in this scenario, I've done several things where, like in Virginia, of course, we all have our own state standards. So uploading them into my chatbot to then interact with those existing standards and the lessons that we're producing, and really checking for like alignment and is it appropriate, and what are ways to extend learning, what are ways to remediate learning if a student's not able to show success, and whether it's for assessments, you name it, but building your own with that guidance of, focusing within these and not turning it loose to, let's say, the whole internet, giving those commands to stay within these guidelines and provided documents from the state, and reversing it back and forth, but then having that base in your chatbot. And so it's really been a kind of a fun and a very useful tool, especially when creating curriculum.
That you said it beautifully. Thank you. It's going back to that, or as I said, that data source.
Yes.
Knowing your data source. And I'm definitely off topic, but I was going to cover this. One of the things that we start with is like, we will start with Notebook LM because we bring in the resources we want it to look at. And the same thing we've been doing, and we're going to be creating, we have pro accounts for ChatGPT. So we're going to be creating agents, and it's going to be pulling in all of the resources for like creating rubrics, project-based, doing different bots and helping it. And then you bring in the standards and saying, okay, let's create something. So we haven't used PlayLab, but we have done the ChatGPT. And I do know, and Jason's probably going to be talking about this, Montana has a bot that does for an open multiple choice. That is a beautiful thing where you can put in standards and it gives you detractors and a reasoning behind. And so, Jason, the whole series behind this is based off of best practices. So it wasn't just, let's create a quiz and do this. And I think that's where a lot of people fall down that rabbit hole, is just create this and not basing it on those best practices. And I think Rachel, is she still on here? Yes, Rachel's there. I'm going to call her out. Rachel Walker, I know from Jason, got all the behind the scenes for this open MCQ. Am I right?
I did, because our organization's a little bit wonky about what we're allowed to and what we're
Right.
not allowed to use. So we had to kind of create our own version of it and
But it wasn't
to do some things that we needed to do based off of his materials.
Yes, but that's it wasn't just based off of like just everything. He based it off of, as I said, best practices, which is, I think, is the key. And that's the key thing we also need to remember, is where does that data come from? So I'll go back to that. So the alignment chart, I think that can be really huge and help everyone out. We also have H5P. We've got a paid account. And so we can actually go into ChatGPT and tell it to create, and I've got the coding, and I think Rachel's like, wait a minute, I think I need this. There's just coding that you can put into ChatGPT or any AI, and then it spits it out, and then you copy and paste it into H5P in the textual, and it creates the interactive for you already. So I have it, sorry, it's on my notes. There we go. So it's this simple, create a line, create a multiple choice quiz. And how easy is it to do that? And for us to then throw it into H5P, we have, and I'll throw this in the chat area. And it's only three, I believe it's only 3 items that free. We don't go down to the smart import. But from this, the output, there's 2 things that can happen. We can create the H5P by just pasting it into the textual area in H5P. Then we can also ask it to create a document that has the, question 1 with ABC, so we can have an alternate activity. It can do both of them at the same time. After it creates this, then you have, say, please now put it in a, question format with ABC, and then give me, afterwards an answer key. So we've used this, and it's just with the simple choice, a summary, and drag the words. So if you've used H5P in the past and you drag the words, it's always kind of frustrating. You got to do the right coding. Just put it in and it'll create it. And then the main thing is just to remember to, the text and textual information. And it'll come out with that. Instead of having to type everything, you can add your standards, once again, reading level, everything else with that. That can be absolutely beautiful. So creating practice activities, we use it a lot. The other thing that we've really been working on is giving students choice for assignments, how they're going to show mastery. So not just one way, giving them the options. And so we've done a lot of create different assignments based on, as you said, the learning objectives on a topic, the grade level, that they've got to show mastery. And here's where we may get 5, and we may combine all of those elements just into 2, but giving our students the option of showing mastery. The other key thing is keeping it very similar, so we only have to have one rubric. That's been big for us, is when you have multiple projects, it's like, well, this project needs this rubric, and this project needs this rubric, and this project needs this rubric. You can add in there for assignments, you can put in about maybe kinesthetic learners, auditory learners. You can add in different elements for those options on the assignments, so that students are given that choice. We're trying to do a little bit more of the UDL to be able for them to show how they would like to show mastery. Is there anybody else used it for creating optional assessments? Okay. Big one. The bane of every instructional designer's it's the bane of our existence. So math. We all know alt text in math is horrible. And so this is probably like the 15th to 20th time you've heard about this. But if you think about this graph, what do you think the alt text would be? Thank you. Yep, depends on the context. Definitely. Anything we want to make sure to stay away from? We definitely want to stay away from, yep, color. Thank you, Sarah. I was waiting for that one. So possible descriptions, as you said, depends on the context of what you're looking for. What is your question? And this goes really mainly to all alt text. What is that image conveying? Is it, and I'm thinking art history, is it mood? Is it brushstroke? That's the alt text that you need. So making sure we're doing that. So how do you provide it without giving away the answer? Art history, that's another one. So if you're looking at this one, the prompt we put in was, but do not give away the answer. And here was the question: calculate the slope given this graph of linear equation. So the students are supposed to calculate the slope. And so we wanted to alt text without giving away the answer. And this was its response. Because that's a key question, or a key thing a lot of people ask is, math is so hard with alt text. It's so hard to create without giving away the answer. So put in the question and then your image, and then say, don't give away the answer to the problem. I need alt text on that. I love that. Do not give away the answer to this problem. Okay, I am 10 minutes early. I got through everything. What other ways have you all used AI to help you with accessibility? I should call out Michelle Nichols. I haven't talked to her in a while. Yes, Canva, alt text suggestion. Believe it or not, Microsoft Word does also. Microsoft Word has an alt text suggestion. That one was an interesting one. We don't have it Word anymore, so I don't have that. So
All
Rachel,
right,
we set up.
Miss
Go ahead.
Laura, I'll jump in since you picked on me, although Mary jumped in from our team on the chat. You know, we've been working really a lot with our associate director of special populations,
Mhm.
and just connecting with our teachers when they're getting reach outs about reading level, right? And making sure
Mhm.
that content, or sometimes courses come and we're using vendor content and they don't have note guides or guided notes. So we're utilizing them to help create those resources that teachers can easily provide to those learners
Mm.
without them having to spend a lot of time physically creating them, which probably would have been their go-to. So it's that support and helping the teachers use it to support the learners and the coaches in schools.
And I've seen in building courses, thanks, Michelle. You're absolutely right. In building courses and getting resources, you know, we're 6 through 12. So some of the best books and articles and everything else are actually outside of their reading levels. And the unfortunate thing we all know is that even as a senior, their reading level is probably, you know, around the 6th grade reading level. So how can you take something that is a well-respected text that's open sourced? Let me start with that, open sourced, and bringing it down. And you can use that for resources, which is nice. You hate, as you said, as a former reading interventionist, knowing that we have kids who aren't at grade level reading, that we have to bring it down. That's a huge asset to the teacher, huge asset. I think giving alternate assessments, coming up with them, is also huge that teachers could use in their course so that students aren't always having to do the same exact thing, and it can go a little bit more to their strengths but still show mastery. What other ways have people used AI to help them? And I know we talked a little bit about alt text, reading level, I think meeting standards.
I can speak a little bit to what I've been doing and what we've been doing here. I found a teacher bot for ChatGPT, and I've been using that for a lot of our stuff is read and respond and read and respond and then write an essay. And so I've been doing that and taking our essential questions, our Common Core state standards, and asking it to create me asynchronous assessments. And it creates like choice boards and rubrics and everything for me. I think the biggest thing is like, again, to be really, really specific with your prompt and like what you want is super helpful.
Yeah, same question, Mary. I was like, which teacher bot is that? Do you know the name of it or the web teacher bot through? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it's literally just teacher bot. I Googled teacher ChatGPT one day and it came up.
Perfect. And it's nice that you can add some of those things. And I said, Rachel's used it for rubrics. So have we. We are going to look at creating an agent that will use, like, as you said, best practices for creating rubrics and then having a standardization. Beautiful. Thank you, Amy. Having standardization for our rubrics, just in terms of wording and things always to include. We've been hitting huge about citing sources. So being consistent across the board on what we say. But we've used it for rubrics to help. Sometimes Google Forms, quizzes, grammar activities. Close activities, I know that's huge. Taking a text. Has anybody used, I've used some of this with Notebook LM. If you bring in your resources, you can then also create like a podcast, and it has two people and they talk. It's not word for word, it's kind of a conversation. I've done it as like an optional activity. I pulled in the resources and then created an audience. Too long for fourth graders, most definitely. They're usually around 20 minutes. They are. I've not been able to go through and say, make this 10 minutes. I haven't really played with it. But for some of our AP courses, we've thrown in the information and then created an optional podcast. Oh, you got it down to 10 minutes. Yes, pulled a PDF, Google slide, optional activities. Optional activities to me are huge for students. And I think you can ask it, ask AI to help you with that. It's why should we reinvent the wheel with that? And as you said, pulling it in, teachers can use it very quick and easy for a quick self-check. As I said, yes, PDFs on things. I've only found I tried to export one of our Canvas courses and then have it align it to the standards. But the unfortunate thing is that we use coding and accordions and tabs and those sorts of things. And my EPUB wouldn't pull those. So I couldn't do a cross match on that. Free things. A lot of this stuff, Amber, as you said, you can use, I know like H5P has a free, but you only can do a certain number of items now. If you're in Canvas and you have block editor turned on, that has an interactive quiz that you can put within lessons. This is really bad. I use multiple emails, as you said, to do free. I've had, I have Natural Speaker, Screencastify, and those sorts of things where it reads text for me. So you don't have to listen to my voice over and over again in doing videos. But I've had to use multiple emails accounts. Amy, I'm going to warn you in terms of Brisk. I was just out at the COSIN. Do not use the Brisk AI extension. Just because my understanding is Brisk scrapes the data off of any website you're using. So if you're in like your SIS, it can scrape that data. So just be careful of that AI extension. And I don't know if others do that, but that was mentioned by a tech director with that. So while they can be great, they can also be a little bit scary. I didn't know that either. It was one of those. Brisk has been mentioned. They're like, oh my God, it's great. It's great. And as I said, I was sitting in a COSIN conference and several tech directors said, we do not allow this extension because of this reason. And so I immediately, with our tech director, block the Brisk AI extension. And that's just something to think about and worry about. We have 1 minute left. I will stick around if anybody wants to answer any questions. I appreciate everybody's time and your interaction with this session, and let me know if you have any questions.
While we're waiting to see if there's another question, I just want to say thank you so much to Laura. There was a lot of great information here. I was taking notes like crazy, and I'm so glad that you put in the link for your presentation. Maybe you want to pop that in one more time. And with that, I'm going to stop the recording.